My name is Aaron Preece, and I've been visually impaired since birth, and I've been playing video games for. I'm a user, not really a developer, but I've been playing video games for a really long time, and now I work at the American Foundation for the Blind, and I do like product evaluation, usability testing, like user testing and things like that. So what I wanted to show today is essentially video game access for people, how people with vision loss can play mainstream video games, games that have been designed for or by people with vision loss using audio, and methods you can use to add accessibility to games. So just to start out, the way I would a person with a visual impairment uses a computer is using a screen reader, which takes basically the contents of the screen and then reads it out using synthesized speech. Let me make sure this is on. I'm going to use this audio here. So that should be on.
HJPAD checkbox check selected. Location TNA checkbox check selected. Location colon. Dark display checkbox check selected. Location colon. Dark display left parent. C colon backslash games backslash dark line display right parent. Tooltip. Steam checkbox check selected. Location colon. Steam left context menu.
Oops.
Folder view list. Steam checkbox check.
Okay. So I will actually slow this down because I tend to use it fairly quickly. So I'm going to slow the speed down on here.
Variant read. Rate 60. Rate 55. Rate 60. Rate 55. Rate 50. Rate 45. Rate 40. Rate 35. Rate 30. Thunderbird checkbox check selected. Location colon. Thunderbird left parent. C colon backslash program files left parent. X86 right parent backslash.
Okay. So is that a good speed for everybody? Okay. So when it comes to accessibility, so one of the first things I wanted to show is one of the main aspects that is difficult when it comes to, especially for mainstream games, is not having access to menus. And it's possible for screen readers to or for games to output their menus and text content to a screen reader. And first I'm going to show the game Skullgirls through Steam they've added accessibility. Basically, the game itself has really good audio, so everything pans, and I'll show you that too whenever I launch the game. But one thing that they've added is they have made all the text and all the menus in the game output to my screen reader. So I will launch that.
Chat Steam checkbox check selected. Steam. Num lock off. Bottom blank. Top blank.
And Steam itself is actually pretty terrible for accessibility, so I'm going to try. So it's not picking up any of the text in the Steam window right now. So what I can do is I have an optical character recognition, which will scan the text and convert it to text that NVDA, that my screen reader can read. So I'm going to hit
running OCR.
Running OCR.
Less 1 greater store LM community use on miles below. SMS memes nationals diagnosis Elysium line star line GP school line V star that line out pulen smug dot line equals dot colon that line last pure and runny V dash backslash left hit dash line dash dash line. So
it didn't do a very good job. So I'm going to close. So this happens. Steam isn't great for accessibility to begin with, and for some reason, after it's running for a long time, the screen reader can't pick up on it anymore, and I'm not quite sure why that happens. But I will close it.
Task manager list of items. Background processes grouping. Level 1 process colon. Steam client. List of items data grid. Desktop list. Steam check.
When I run Steam.
Steam login. Steam connecting Steam account. Steam.
Okay. Now.
Steam view friends games help login for Steam.
Okay, now it is. Oh, Steam news. Let's close that.
Steam 6 Steam.
Okay, so now that I've restarted Steam, for some reason, it actually will be picked up by my screen reader right now. So the main way that I would navigate with a screen reader is actually using just general Windows navigation, like keyboard navigation through, through folders, the desktop, menus, things like that. Steam does not support that, so what I'm actually doing right now is one of the things that my screen reader can do is it can simulate navigating with the mouse. So that's how I'm going to be navigating the Steam window, is just using the simulated mouse cursor. So I'm going to go down.
Steam View Friends Game Store Library Search. Games the Skullgirls.
So there's Skullgirls, and I will launch that.
Skullgirls dash Steam. Skullgirls dash Steam preparing to launch Skullgirls.
Okay.
Skullgirls on board.
Okay. Okay, so I'm on the main menu now, and when I start navigating around,
Blank.
need to turn
Single player. Versus. Training. Help and options.
So see, it's reading everything. So I'll go and say that here.
Help and options. Choose controllers. Settings. Video settings. Command list. Back. Help and options. Exit game. Download content. Achievements. Leaderboards. Extras. Help and options.
So everything. I think these opens up for a minute. So everything in all the menus are being read to me whenever I navigate through them, and it will actually read text, like text boxes that show up too. So let's see if I can find one of those.
Training.
I know there's some in training, so I'll go into
training. Tutorials. Beginner tutorials, lesson 2, introduction to defense, beginner tutorials, lesson 3, basic attacks, a beginner's primer on beginner tutorials, lesson 4, advanced movement, take your movement and maneuvering to the next level.
Let's just
beginner. Normal attacks, all characters have 6 normal attacks, light punch, medium punch, hard punch, light kick, medium kick and hard kick. From here on, these will be referred to as left brace LP right brace, left brace MP right brace, left brace HP right brace, left brace LK right brace, left brace MK right brace and left brace HK right brace, respectively. Light attacks are fast and weak, while hard attacks are slow and powerful. Naturally, medium attacks fall somewhere and dash between. To execute a normal attack, simply press the attack button associated with that attack.
So that read that text box to me. So I'm going to start.
Hit a button to perform a normal attack. Seriously, any button. Objective. Jumping attacks. All normal attacks can be executed while jumping, and most of them work differently in the air. Attacks from the air usually must be defended while standing, so try to use them on crouching opponents. Jumping attacks are notated with a small J before the button. For example, a jumping light punch would be notated as J. Left brace LP right brace.
One thing you may notice too is the screen reader is reading all kinds of punctuation, and I'm going to change that. That's a setting I can adjust. So if I'm, for some reason, need to know what kind of punctuation I've got, I've got that set for some reason. So I'm going to change that.
Symbol level all, symbol level none, symbol level some.
So I was there's hotkeys for a lot of that kind of thing in my screen reader for various settings, so I was able just to quickly change that back to a less verbose punctuation level.
Game.
So I'm going to. So that's basically just demonstrating that it does read. They've basically added access to. So it goes. All text that shows up on here is going to go through my screen reader. So this game is fairly, even though it's not really. A lot of games like this are sort of accessible by accident. So I'm going to sort of demonstrate that, because what happens is this game has a lot of speech, so anytime anybody's punching or kicking or doing any kind of attacks, they're yelling various things, all the sounds pan, so left to right panning, and I can tell just by the audio where other characters are, because footsteps have sounds, jumping, everything has sounds. So I can get a pretty good idea of where people are, if someone's to my left or to my right, and that sort of thing, or if an attack's coming towards me, just based on the sound effects. So I'm going to go to a different area here to demonstrate that.
Help adoption, resume game, exit game. Next unfinished lesson, play again. Choose lesson, give up. Blank. Back. Training, help adoption, training, versus. Single player.
Yeah,
single player.
Just do it quick.
Arcade mode, CPU quick match. 2 high-powered characters.
I'm going to do
one super random, P1. Cerebella, P1.
Cerebella!
3 normal powered characters, 2 high, 1 super powerful character. Random, P2. Parasol, P-Wolf, P2. Download Parasol, double, P2.
Against
double!
Random.
Your sins have no absolute. It's okay to be starstruck.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime!
Take a knuckle! Lock and load!
Just a moment.
So, just to kind of, I was able to tell like which side. Of course, she's making all kinds of noise with her. I don't even know what. When the opponent's moving around, and then I can tell, say, when Sarabella does one of her the lock and load, I guess, attack. I can tell as she's talking and as it's making the sound, it kind of moves across the soundscape, so I can tell that she's moving from like right to left for that attack. Or like whenever I hit somebody and it sends them flying, I can tell as they're yelling, as they get knocked through the air and land, and I can tell because they're landing over here on this part of the soundscape, I can tell they've been knocked away from me. So that's sort of how, like, especially fighting games like this. So like a lot of this is particularly good because it's got a lot more sounds than most and a lot more vocalizing of attacks and sound effects in that area. But things like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, things like that are pretty accessible also. So now I'm actually going to show, there's a lot of games called audio games, so basically they're just audio only, no visuals. Some of them do have visuals, so I'm going to demonstrate some of those and some of the techniques that they use to indicate where objects are, direction, essentially how you know what is in the game field and how it's in a fluid way, so you can actually play the game and still be able to tell what you're doing. So close this.
Exit game. Play again. Return to main menu. Blank. Arcade mode. Story back. Difficulty. Back. Single click. Extras. Leaderboard. Train. Help. Exit game. Exit. Steam 6. Steam. Application. Desktop list. Steam.
So I am going to be showing a game called Shadow Line. It's developed by a Japanese developer called Galaxy Laboratory, and it's not been translated. So what I'm actually going to do is
NVDA general settings. JGT login. Login to password.
So this
Task manager.
So there's a lot of really good Japanese audio games, and a lot of them have not been translated, but because they are outputting through the screen reader, there have been screen readers can be added onto, which is various different things. So an add-on could make a software more accessible if it's not been programmed in the right way, so that the screen reader can access it, or can just add functionality. So what the add-on I just signed into does is it takes any of the Japanese text that is going to be sent through my screen reader, and it sends it to a server, Google Translate server that this guy is running, and it translates it, and then immediately outputs in English. It's machine translation, so when it comes to story type things, it's really not very good. You can't really get a good feel for what's going on, but can get enough to play and sort of understand what you're doing and the controls and menus and things like that, and a pretty decent understanding of the story also. So I'm logged into that. I'm going to
Enabled auto translate last spoken.
So now I can also do if a lot of these games will also output to the clipboard. So if I was using that option instead, I could set it up to where anything that came through my clipboard would be automatically sent away, translated, and spoken aloud.
Desktop list.
So let's launch Shadow Line.
Shadow Line full voice game log checkbox. And the Shadow Line full voice edition checkbox. Unknown. 0, not responding. Task manager desktop recording. Shadow Line full start game button.
Okay. So start game.
Galaxy Laboratory. Shadow Line してください。ニューゲーム。
So
新しく冒険を始めます。
she's gonna say it. So one thing, this game has been developed by a blind developer, but he has also included, I guess, rudimentary I don't know what they really look like, but I know that there are graphics in this game. I'm not sure the quality, but there are graphics in addition to the soundscape as well. So that kind of gives you a point of reference. So I'm going to load one of the files I've got.
Continue.
Continue.
どうしますか？
1. Ashura, Jerry Lavolta. Do you want to load this data? Load.
ロード中です。再びカレシアへ。
Okay. Whoops. So there is in the field right now. This is like a sort of almost like NES original Legend of Zelda style top-down view. very similar kind of a style of game. So right now I'm in a field here, and this game is kind of broken up, just like the original Zelda was, where you have each screen as its own little area, and then you go off the screen and onto the next screen. So you can hear that constant droning, whatever that sound, I don't even know how to describe that, whatever that sound is there. So that is a save point, and that's always the sound for a save point. So I can tell based on that. And there's also like that noise is directional, and it tells me, so whenever I am within either the north or south axis to that, or the east and west axis, it makes that sound. So if I'm coming at it from below, so that's a higher pitch sound to tell me that I'm coming at it from the south, and it's directly north of me. So if I go north, it makes a noise when I'm on it. Now it makes a lower pitch noise to tell me that I'm walking away from it. And that sound, the whooshing air sound, tells me that I'm approaching an exit to another screen. So I will go forward. I'm going to change characters. Draw my weapon. And there is a. So that happened fairly quickly. So you can hear there's magma somewhere off to my right, I believe. And there's like a ledge or like a pit to my left. And when I first got there was a lizard, I think it was a lizard, that was immediately right there. It played a sound to tell me that I was in range to hit it, and that it was also in range to hit me. There's two separate sounds for that. And I was able to kill it. And then I dropped an item, and I could hear that item. Based on the sound it made, and then also a second sound that plays, sort of like when I was going north and south to that save point. There's also a separate sound whenever I'm approaching an item. So I've got like essentially cash and health items that will drop whenever I kill things, or just that are laying around the field. And it will play a specific sound for those, different sound for each one. And then it also plays a. I'm going to pause it just so we all constantly hear this.
Status.
Okay. So it played a sound for the item itself, just a constant like ambience for the item, and then like a whenever I'm within either the east or west axis from it, or north or south, it plays a constant sound every time I take a step, so I know which way to go to collect it. So that was pretty quick. I'm going to find some more enemies to kill here. And that sound you just heard, that like crunching sound, tells me that I am near a ledge. So if I actually go towards this ledge, and I'm going to change characters so we can jump over it. Okay, so that crunching sound tells me I'm within so many steps of the edge, and then it beeps. That little like two quick beeps tells me I'm on the edge of some sort of hazard. So there's magma makes the same sort of sound, same sort of beep if I'm near it, or the ledges like this. So I'm going to jump across this. So I don't know.
Status.
Pause again. So I don't know if it was clear there, but so when I jumped across, it made sort of a clicking sound to let me know that I'm currently jumping, but I'm jumping over top of that specific type of hazard. And then once I was over regular ground again, it made it like a swishing, like her wings, I guess, were flapping. So I can tell. So if I, want to make sure I don't accidentally stop too soon and fall into the pit, so it tells me that you're over top of a pit right now. You don't want to land here. So that's sort of how this game does things. And I don't believe I'm near a good area to show this, but if there's like a maze on the screen or something, as I'm walking, doesn't tell me that the walls are there specifically, but whenever I say come to, like I'm walking down a corridor and I come to a corner that I can turn, it'll make a sort of like different, like a whooshing wind, different style wind sound to tell me that I'm coming up to a corner, and it will tell me also based on the panning of the sound, tells me if the corner is coming up to the left or the right, and then also if it's a lower pitch sound, it means I'm coming at that corner is to the south of me, that turn, or if it's a higher pitch sound, that tells me that corner is coming up ahead of me. So that's the way this game. So there's different ways of doing this, using audio cues to indicate. Panning is of course a key way of doing that, sound panning. But then there's other ways to indicate vertical position or like north-south position, distance, things of that nature. And that's how this game does it, is with a constant sound for a lot of items, and enemies will have a sound when they're walking and a sound when they're attacking, so you can tell where they are by that. And then there's also an additional sound to tell me what direction they are, say if they're standing still or something. So that's how this game does it. There's other ways to do this, and I'm going to show another game that is a scrolling shooter.
Close. Exit game. When you exit. Task manager.
I'm going to reset my
Taskbar. Taskbar.
Is there any questions, by the way? Because I'm any
11:30.
ask me, yell at me if you want to ask a question or anything.
How much is the screen reader software? Or rough estimate?
The ones that are commercial are like $1,000. The one I'm using is free, and it's about comparable to the commercial screen readers. No problem. So I'm going to launch.
Desktop lit. Fast shortcut. Villains from beyond. Checkbox checks.
Okay, I'm going to show this first.
11:33 a.m.
It's 11:30, so actually I got too much more time.
ZL's Villains from beyond. Checkbox check.
So I'm just going to show this quickly. This will show, of course, has panning for sounds. It's like a Xevious.
Villains from beyond.
There are updates available for the game. To download them, please visit uriorgomet.com.
Okay, so I guess I need to update this at some point.
Today's red start game.
And this is self-voicing, and that's an older synthesizer that they're using for the sounds. And so I'm going to start this.
Get ready.
So there is a sound.
And data recorder. Aim. Villains from beyond icon to look.
You have a negative score of minus 695 points. And you will level 1.
Today's menu. Use the up and down arrow is to send you exit game.
So that was kind of a little hectic there, but basically, so there was basically it was like a sort of a Xevious or Galaga type shooter, and I was flying back and forth, left and right, and I was going forward at a constant speed. I can adjust that too, but I was flying forward, and there's enemies coming at me, and they both you could hear the little like bomb sort of dropping sound was the bullet coming towards me, and when it pans left to right and it gets louder as it gets closer to you, but then once it's behind me and I don't have to worry about it anymore, they lower the pitch of the sound, so I can tell that enemy or that bullet is behind me in that game. One thing I wanted to show you is there was a blind guy through an emulator has made Pokemon Crystal pretty much accessible through a couple of scripts that he put together.
Desktop lit VLC media flash shortcut checkbox check
I'm
selected.
going to run the emulator.
RRV files open GBA ROM CT clear C.
Open
RRV
the game.
Site debug new Lua script window N. Lua script dialog output console rest. So item Lua script run button ready restart.
Okay, so it's working.
RRV 20 restore RRV.
Okay, so
Friday date 10:36 continue.
So, what he's done is I guess this game has been I think the code is available somewhere. And so he's gone through, and I'm going to just
File sub menu Alt plus F.
kind of mute the sound there for just a moment. So what he's done is he has made it where all the text that comes through is red, and when you're in the game field, you can get directions to any object that's in the area that you're in. So basically, I'll demonstrate that here. But basically, so he's got everything will read to me, so all the text that comes through, so I can navigate menus, go through battles, and things like that. And then once I'm in,
RRV player mat badges.
okay. So you could hear little like swishy noises. That was telling me that's something else that he's added. He's added like a sort of a sound pack for it. So that tells me that I am in grass, and then when it was like doing the more clicking type of footstep sound, that tells me that I'm on regular ground. and I'm going to show you how it tells me where things are. So I'm in front of Silver Cave here.
RRB 20. None lock on. East connection, route 28. Silver Cave, Pokemon Center 1F. 7 down, 5 right.
So, tells me right there in like direct directions where that is from me, so just literally how many steps away. It doesn't mean I can actually go that way to get to it. So I'm going to press 8.
3 down, 1 right, 9 down, 4 right, 5 up.
So that,
File.
those directions just now, I triggered that. So I select an item that I want to find, or an entrance, or a connection to another route, or to a city or something, and then I can press a key and it gives me direct directions, how many steps I need to take in each direction to get there. So say if I'm in like a dungeon or something, and it's I can find directions to the next ladder, like some of the strength puzzles and things like that. I can find the directions to the boulders to push those around, and like say find the boulder, then use that to find the direction of like the hole. Say for like ice path, you have to push the boulders into the holes. Find it that way. So I'll show you like a fight, how it reads that, or I'll.
Wild Arbok appeared.
Okay, so tell me what it is.
Go, right move. 192/192. Enemy health. 6 of 6. Fight. 6 of 6.
Okay.
File sub menu.
So the health bars, it doesn't give you exact on the health bars, but like say when I, and I'll probably end up killing this thing in one hit, but basically, so it tells me 6 of 6, so it's kind of considering the health bar a unit. It tells me my specific health because that text is showing up on the screen. But for the enemy's health, it gives it to me in like an increment. So let's see if I can hit this without killing it, so you can see how it changes.
Spark. Thundershock. Reflect. Thundershock. Quick attack. Reflect. Quick attack.
Maybe a quick attack.
Right move. Use quick attack. Enemy Arbok. Use poison sting. 186/192. Enemy health. 4 of 6. Fight. 4 of 6. File sub menu.
So it told me, of course, it didn't kill it. So it told me, tells me my health, and then it also told me the enemy's health. And if I ever want to check that, there's also a key to check that. Or say if I want to know what level it is, I can press a key that will read the entire screen. So that's how, like, if you want to read like your stat screen or something like that, you can use that. So I'll press.
RRB Arbok 42. Raikou 56. 186/192. Fight. Hack run. File sub.
So what that essentially did was that just read the entire screen to me. So it's kind of, and you noticed it kind of did almost like a question at the end of the Arbok's level. It can't read the gender symbols, or does NVDA is not picking those up. So it considers those a question mark when they're not rendered, when an NVDA doesn't recognize them. So that's kind of why it did that. So not perfect, but this is pretty much fully playable. As you can see, I'm pretty much at the end. I'm training up to fight red right now. So those are the main things I wanted to show. So you can use, mainly panning works very well to indicate direction. How much time do I have left?
11:40 a.m.
Does someone know, do we have a person in here to what the schedule's like, time-wise?
The next one was supposed to start at 11:40, but we got started late, so.
10 minutes late, but probably at the end.
I'll go ahead and go to questions, I think. So is there any questions anybody has? To my knowledge, Skullgirls is the only one that's added accessibility like that. Others may be, accessible if you say memorize the menus for something. So that may be accessible that way, but the only one that I'm aware of that has actually added like screen reader accessibility to menus and things has been Skullgirls.
What kind of games are you planning to have compatibility with
Me, or like for
this? All in all.
we'd like to, I'd love for pretty much any game to be accessible, but you have to essentially convince the developers to add accessibility to their games, which has been pretty. There's been a lot of luck with independent developers. A lot of times, a lot of blind people are avid gamers, and they will do their best to find games that are mostly accessible and find workarounds to play what they want to play. And a lot of times, people have said, "Hey, your game is mostly accessible if you did this and this to make it, make it fully accessible." And the person said, "Oh, okay," and they've added accessibility. It's just that it's not. Oh, it's a small community of people, so not a huge market. So for a lot of the larger game developers, it's not going to be on their radar compared to their other customers and other issues that they have to deal with in their games. So Pokemon Go, for example, I think so. With my, I didn't show this, but with my phone has a screen reader on it as well, built into my iPhone. And if Apple allows people to pretty easily make their apps like have elements read to VoiceOver, which is the screen reader, using native types controls. I think because where Pokemon Go is created in Unity, it doesn't have native support for VoiceOver. So right now, nothing is read. So you can't log in. You can't see. Basically, VoiceOver sees nothing right now. But they could add accessibility. It would just be a little more difficult than if it was using native controls, since they'd have to add VoiceOver support from scratch to that.
Any other questions? How long have they had this accessibility for you to be able to play these games?
For like on the audio game side, or what? On which?
When were you first able to play a video game? How many years ago?
Oh, I found them in like 2004. But they've been around for a while before. So audio games themselves, I think, have been developed since like the late 90s, 2000s, when the hardware was available. But like say back in like the DOS times, or like before that, whenever there was just like text-based games, like interactive fiction and things like that, those were pretty much accessible out of the box just because they used text. And then in regards to like playing like a mainstream game, it just depended on the game. So like fighting games are usually very accessible just because you're in an enclosed field. You only have to worry about if the person's to the left or right of you, and they usually have. I would say from like I know like the say like Mortal Kombat for like the Super Nintendo from like I think 94, 93 had panning sound. So if someone plugged in some headphones to their TV, they'd be able to pretty well play that game just because the sounds were panning at that time. All right.
I guess we probably better wrap up since the
Yeah.
sessions are probably.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys.